Hi everyone, welcome back to Move Wilder. My name is Hannah and today I want to take you through a 30-minute Pilates class especially for tennis players. British tennis superstar Andy Murray openly spoke out about how he used Pilates and the benefits he felt through using Pilates in his training throughout his career. And it's easy to see why Pilates would be beneficial for tennis players. Powerful forehand serves develop one side of the body but tend to misalign the other side. During Pilates, we work on muscle balance and posture, and this builds a strong, capable body that can move effectively around the court and produce power in every serve. So let's roll out the mat and join me for a 30-minute Pilates class, especially for tennis players. We're now going to go through a dynamic warm-up. So we're going to start with the upper body. We're just going to stretch down to one side, reach up and over. We're going to do 30 seconds of side bend. So just stretching that arm up and over, making sure your elbow is staying in line with your ear as you bring it up and over your head and you're not rolling your shoulders forwards, keeping your knees soft, feet facing forward. So we're in our neutral stance position. Tailbone stays tucked underneath you. And then once we've done our 30 seconds of side bend, we are going to go into some rotation. So we're going to do drawing the arrow. So you're going to bring both arms out in front and then you're going to bring one arm back, rotating through that mid spine. So that thoracic spine is rotating. Think rib cage moving, keeping everything else nice and still, using your core. So thinking pulling your ribs down towards your hips, your hip bones together. And again, we're going to do 30 seconds of this. 30 seconds of squat. So you're just going to keep your feet either hip or shoulder distance apart. Squat down into your squat as low as you feel comfortable. Remember, we're still warming up here, so it doesn't need to be really deep. And then we're going to just push back up, thinking heels first as you come back to standing, keeping your knees tracking your toes, chest lifted, eyes on the horizon. Next, we are going to go into a balance. So you're going to come up onto one leg. You're going to bring your arms above your head and we're going to circle the arms gently for 8 circles in one direction and then 8 circles in the other direction. Then we're going to change to the other leg and do those circles again in each direction, keeping everything else nice and still, maintaining that core. So I think rib to hip, hip to hip. And then we're going to go to bigger circles out the side. So you're going to bring those arms out and do the biggest circle you can from your side. Again, standing on one leg as you circle, changing to the other side. And then our final warm-up exercise today, we're going to come down into our 4-point kneeling position, knees under your hips, hands under your shoulders. We're going to lift a leg and then you're going to gently draw a circle with that leg. So we're just working into that hip, glutes and leg. We're going to do up to 10 circles in one direction and then up to 10 circles in the other direction. And then we're going to swap to the other side. Now you've done your dynamic warm-up, you are ready to get on with the rest of your training. I hope you enjoy your session. We're now going to go through a balance challenge with halo arms. So you're going to grab hold of a small weight, something like 1-2 kilos. If you haven't got a weight, you can always use a water bottle full of water, something just with a little bit of weight to it. Going to stand on one leg, and then we're going to do a circle around your head, almost like you're drawing a halo around your head. And what we're looking for here is to challenge that core and balance with a little bit of upper body movement. So if you think about when you're on the bike and you're having to stand up in a sprint or stand up to go up a hill, and you're kind of using that upper body to help drive the power through the legs, we're trying to work on that upper body strength, core and balance together. So looking at conditioning the whole body. Once you have done both legs, you can return your weight to the floor and we will move to our next move. Next, we're going to do a lunge with rotation. So starting in your neutral spine position, stepping forward with your right leg, and then we're going to rotate that upper body over the right leg, making sure your hip, knee and foot stay in alignment as you rotate. We're going to hold that rotation for somewhere between 10 and 15 seconds and then swap to the other side. This is a really good exercise for building strength in your legs, as well as improving that rotational mobility of your thoracic spine. Every time you step out into your lunge, making sure that your foot, knee and hip stay in alignment. Coming into a low lunge, or as low as you feel is right for you. So you can feel those legs working, but you can keep going and maintain good balance throughout the move. Lunges are a really good exercise for working the legs independently. So you'll know here if you've got a side that is more tricky, and that's probably the side that's slightly weaker, so you can then work on that. So this is a really good way of telling if you've got a side that feels less balanced. This is probably the side you need to work on, and the side of your body that's weaker. As you rotate over that front leg, keeping that knee tracking your toe, make sure that that knee doesn't fall in. If you need to make the steps smaller so that you feel more balanced, that's always an option. Holding that lunge and then pushing back to standing. And we're nearly at the end of our set. So you should really start to feel this in the legs. This is a great exercise for building strength around the knee joint and around the pelvis. Also building core strength, keeping that core switched on as you rotate. Building that lovely mobility through the thoracic spine. You're doing really great. We are nearly at the end of our set. Keep stepping forward. See if you can get lower for these last couple of lunges. We're going to see if we can go a little bit lower. It's my challenge for you. Get a little bit lower for the next couple. And then once you've finished, coming into your rest pose. We're now going to go through a palm on the wall stretch. So you're going to stand with your hand on the wall, fingertips facing backwards, hand in line with your shoulder. Then you're going to take a little step forward with the leg closest to the wall and then rotate your body into the middle of the room. We're going to hold this for 30 seconds. This is a really deep and intense stretch. So if it feels too intense, just gently rotate back towards the wall a little bit, take some of that pressure out. If you get a numb wrist or any kind of like tingling in the fingers, please do come out of this stretch. You should feel a nice stretch across the chest and down into the arm. Then we're going to change to the other side. So we're going to put the hand on the wall facing backwards. Next, you're going to step forward onto that inside foot and then rotate into the room. Again, 30-second hold. And then coming back to your rest pose. Our next exercise is going to challenge your core, your legs, and your coordination. So we're going to bring the band and tie the band in a bow just above the knees. You need to have a little bit of slack in the band, so maybe move your feet to hip distance and then tie the band. You need to be able to move the band. Then we're going to come down onto the mat. You can use a weight, so a dumbbell somewhere around 2 kilos, or you can use the Pilates ball if you prefer. Going to lie with the arms stretched out from your sides, and then we're going to stretch the legs out in the band, and we're going to bring the arms into the middle. So as the arms come in, the legs go out, pushing out into the band. So we're building strength in the side of the leg here. If you find you need to either make it a bit easier, you can let some band out so you've got more room to push out into the band, or if it's too easy, you can tie the band a little bit tighter. This is a great exercise for challenging your coordination and also your core. We're also moving the legs and arms as well, so it's a full body, lots of joints involved exercise, which is the greatest way of challenging your core and building strength in those core muscles, which are the key stabilizing muscles for all the movements you do in your daily life. Once you're finished, we're going to take a full body stretch, and then you can come back up to sitting. I'm now going to take you through an abdominal stretch. So it's probably not somewhere you've thought about stretching before. So what we're going to do is turn onto our fronts, going to come into like a sphinx pose, so pushing up onto your hands, getting a little bit of a gentle back bend here as well. And you should feel a light stretch in those abdominal muscles. The reason we want to stretch the abdominal muscles is because it helps maintain that muscle balance between the back and the front of our body. If there is any discomfort in the lower back whilst you're doing this, then please do leave this move out, which is going to support better core function. Once you've held this for somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds, you can then come back into your rest pose. I'm now going to take you through a Superman curl up. So we're going to come into our box position, wrists under your shoulders, knees under your hips. You can always roll your mat up if you need a little bit more padding under them. And then we're going to stretch the opposite arm and leg out from the midline. Hold it there for an inhale or a count of 3. And then we're going to curl up into the middle, hugging your knee and your arm together. Holding that for an inhale and then exhale, stretching that arm and leg out. Every time you curl into the middle, taking your head with the rest of your spine, so you're curling yourself into a tiny ball. And we're going to hold for an inhale as we stretch that arm and leg out, trying to make them longer every time you reach. And we're going to do up to 10 on one side, and then we're going to swap to the other side. If you needed to, you could alternate, so you could do 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and then go back and do the other set, so that you just give yourself a little bit of a break. This is a great move for improving your posture, so it's going to work into the posterior chain, so the muscles in the backside of the body, help you stand taller, really using your core as you stretch that arm and leg out, really pull those ribs down towards your hips. And now changing to the other side. So again, box position, check that your wrists haven't moved forward, so make sure they're under your shoulders, and then we're stretching that opposite arm and leg out, holding there and then curling into the middle. Trying to exhale as you move and inhale to pause. So you're using the breathing to help time the movement, keep you in a nice rhythm and also stop you from going too fast. It also gives you a little break. So when you're inhaling, you're releasing that core off slightly so that you can take that wide thoracic breath. And then as you exhale and move, you're stabilizing properly by bracing that core. And we're nearly at the end of our set. Keep going, you're doing really well. Keep stretching that arm and leg out. Try and make yourself longer. And once you've done both sides, we're going to come back into our rest pose. We're now going to go through shoulder bridge, single leg. This is an upgrade from what we've done before. So we're going to come down onto the mat, our usual neutral spine position, and then we're going to push up with one foot and leave the other leg extended in the air. If you need to, you can bend the leg a little bit, that's absolutely fine. And we're going to push straight up. So where before in our shoulder bridge we have rolled through our spine, you're now going to keep your back in that neutral position and just push straight up using your hamstrings and your glutes. Keep pushing down into the toes of the foot that remains on the floor. Upper body should stay relaxed. Once you've done one side, we're going to swap to the other. So extending that leg up and then pushing down into the foot, using your hamstrings and glutes to drive yourself up into the air, keeping hold of that rib to hip connection so your core is still switched on. Make sure you're not arching your back and kind of hyperextending towards the ceiling. And once you're finished, taking a full body stretch and then coming back up to sitting. This exercise is hip flexor strength. So we're going to come to sitting on your sit bones, bring your legs to one side of an object, and then we're going to slowly lift and lower the legs over the object. Now I'm using a kettlebell here, but it doesn't have to be a piece of gym equipment. It could be a football, it could be a water bottle. It really doesn't matter what it is. The more important piece of information is what is happening to your back as you lift that leg over. You shouldn't be leaning back. If you are, I want you to try and sit up nice and tall. Imagine someone's got a piece of string from the top of your head and they're pulling you up towards the ceiling. Keeping that core switched on, so we're thinking rib to hip connection here. This is a great exercise for building strength in the hip flexors, and weakness in the hip flexors can cause back pain, hip pain, and also tension when you're doing exercises where you need to extend through the hip flexors. So what we're going to do here is build strength in those hip flexors, which is going to allow for better stability and muscle balance around the pelvis. Once you have done your set, we're going to come into our rest pose. I'm now going to take you through a really nice hip flexor stretch. So we're going to come onto our knees. So if you need to, rolling the mat up a little bit so that you've got more cushion under the knee joint is definitely a good idea. Then we're going to take a step forward with the left foot, keeping your pelvis underneath you, glutes engaged. We're going to push forward into that bent leg and keep your chest lifted. We're holding this stretch for around 30 seconds. We're then going to bring the right arm up and over and stretch out to the side. So you might find that this changes where you're feeling the stretch. You might get it more in your abs, around the side of your hip. That's absolutely fine. And again, we're holding this for 30 seconds. We're then going to change to the other side. So bring the right leg forward, keep your pelvis underneath you, push forward into that bent leg, feeling the stretch in the front of the hip for 30 seconds. And then bringing the left arm up and over so that you can feel the stretch in your side, maybe a bit in your abs, like I said as well. Once you've held this for 30 seconds, we're going to return to our rest pose. I'm now going to take you through the rotator cuff strengthening exercise. So we're going to bring the band up in front of you. Top of your arm is staying close to your body, palms are up, and we're going to pull the band out to the side. Hold it there briefly and then just gently release back. We're going to do 5 like this, where we're just keeping that movement continuous. Pulling the band out. If you need to make it harder, less band in the middle. If you need to make it easier, put more band in the middle. This time we're going to hold it out there and do 5 little pulses. So we're just pulsing to the side for 5, and now we're going to 4 without pulses. This is really good for building strength in those upper back muscles. And then we're going to do 4 little pulses, and then 3 without pulses. Close to your body, 3 little pulses this time, and 2 without pulses. We are nearly there, probably feeling this by now. If you need to make it easier, more band in the middle, 2 little pulses, and final 1, and final pulse, and then give those shoulders a roll. Excellent, well done. Returning to rest pose. Today we're going to start with a hand behind the back stretch. So you're going to bring one hand behind your back. You're going to take your ear over towards the opposite shoulder, tuck your chin forward, and then gently pull your head forward for 30 seconds. You should feel a nice stretch in your upper back. Once you've done one side, we're going to swap to the other side. So taking your hand behind your back, tucking your chin, taking your ear to the opposite shoulder, and then gently pulling that head forward, again holding for up to 30 seconds. And then returning to your rest pose. I'm now going to take you through, in my opinion, one of the best stretches. So we're going to do a hamstring stretch. Going to lay on your back, going to bring your right foot up into the band, making sure it's more around the back of your foot, so to your heel than towards your toes. And then you're gently going to pull that band in until you can feel that mild tension in your hamstrings. We're going to hold that for about 6 seconds, and then we're going to develop it by pointing your toes at your face and pulling that leg a little bit closer, and we're holding this for around 30 seconds. And then going to put the band into the left hand and guide the leg over to the left hand side of the body. So you should now feel the stretch in the outside of that leg. Again, holding for 6 seconds and then seeing if we can develop it. Bring the foot a little bit closer to your body for an additional 30. Then we're going to bring the band and the leg back to the middle, put the band into your right hand and guide the leg out to the side, and we're going to hold it there for again 6 seconds and then try and just bring that foot a little bit closer to your body for a further 30. Bringing your leg back to the middle, we're going to open the band up, put the left foot in the band, bring the right foot back so it's flat on the floor, and start with that hamstring stretch again. So pulling the leg towards you, 6 seconds, then pointing your toes at your face, pull it a little bit closer, see if you can develop it for a further 30. Then putting the band in your right hand, pulling it over to the right hand side of your body, 6 second hold, and then see if you can develop it for a further 30. And then we're going to put the band into the left hand, let the leg fall out to the side, right hip must remain on the floor, holding for 6 seconds, and then see if you can develop it a little bit further for a further 30. Taking the band off your foot, take a full body stretch and come back to your rest pose. Love to know what you think. Is that the best stretch?